Welcome to The Full Experience, a series where we get the sense of a television series by watching 4 episodes. We slice it up by watching the first episode, the ultimate episode, the lowest episode, and the last episode. Ultimate and lowest, of course, being by their ratings. We are in the home stretch of The Shield. We are here to discuss episode 13 of season 7, the finale, the last episode, Family Meeting, which aired first November 25th, 2008. I'm Tom Merritt. He's Brian Brushwood.
Dude, Tom, I was blown away by this finale when I saw it when it first came out. I was blown away when I got to watch it again when you watched it, and
you hated it this time.
Remember how when we watched the very first episode, I said that kind of the Hollywoodness, it just felt a bit acty and fakey, and it felt like a set or whatever. That's all gone.
Yeah.
I actually, I used the excuse of pretending like I had other things to do because I didn't want to sit. Every time Shane's situation popped up, I felt my stomach twist into knots as the noose just got tighter and tighter around him. A couple of things I forgot. First of all of the stuff with Shane and the family is just about as dark as anything I've ever seen on television.
Yeah. No, the Shane story is just damn. That's all I wrote in my notes. I was like,
well, especially because they not only he's on the run, but man, do they let you soak in the dawning reality of just how bad it is. And because keep in mind, for 7 seasons, we've seen all of these characters in increasingly tight binds and these incredible Hail Marys that pay off. And knowing that it's the last episode, we don't know which Hail Marys are going to pay off. Some of them have to, right? I mean, it's The Shield, of course. That's the whole show. But we watch as one by one, every possible window closes for Shane. And the part that I had not held on to this past decade was the fact that not only did Vic, we'll talk about the ending, quote unquote, end up pulling a Vic Mackey and getting away from himself, but, that blows him up in his own face. And on top of that, it's his own betrayal. In general, part of the reason that we stuck with Vic Mackey over the course of the entire series is because, despite the fact that he's beyond redemption, he's damned from the very first episode, there at least appear to be enough other lives that we do like and that are redeemable in the balance that he comes through for, that we keep cheering for the Mexican standoff to keep going. This, by his own hand, was a straight up looking out for his interests only, and him getting immunity for him and his wife is the reason that Gardaki goes. Like, he says, we did it. Shane's dead. We have nothing to worry about. And then the Muni's come in. It's amazing. I had to split this into 3 sessions to watch it because everything was twisted so tight. It was unpleasant for me.
Yeah, I would say story-wise, it is very clear that in a time when it was much more difficult to do it, they were able to call their shot from episode 1 through episode 713. This felt like the ending to the story we were introduced to in the first episode. And I think watching the lowest ranked episode even solidified that for me. Is like they had a story in mind, they had an ending in mind, and they weaved it very well. Production elements changed, acting elements changed like you identified, but it was a strong story. The only thing in this episode, this episode really felt like an extension of the ultimate episode, especially because this is actually the highest rated episode, but we always exempt the first and the last episodes from the ratings. It really just felt like we're continuing the story, which you are. But the Dutch storyline was the only thing that didn't work for me at first. it works for me in the end because it weaves into Wynn's story, and her story is incredibly powerful. But for a while, I just felt like, oh, give me back to Shane, give me back to Vic. Like the Dutch story is not bad, but it doesn't rise to the level of the rest of it.
Well, I did notice on the Dutch storyline, keep in mind, they're wrapping up not only the stories that are going on at that point during the series, but also they're showing the progress of each individual protagonist of their own journey. For example, you kept talking about how Dutch is perpetually, unlucky in love. And then what's the last thing we get is the lawyer drops her card and then takes, with intimate overtures, sets down the coffee on there. And he, meanwhile, clueless as can be, doesn't realize that he's being hit on. And it takes, what's her name, to point it out to him. And, Acevedo finally gets his brass ring that he's been wanting since the very first episode.
Yep.
Vic Mackey gets a form of the justice that he deserves. Although let's talk about that very end moment. Man, do I have respect for that amount of airtime where Michael Chiklis is just sitting there staring into nothing, experiencing 75 emotions at once. And it does seem pretty clear on this, my third watching, that the last thing he does is he grabs his personal, they have a line in there about this is his personal firearm that has to remain locked up, and he grabs it. When there's a moment of hesitation, like we know what his path is from here. He lives a double life because he can't stay out of the action. He can no longer play for the good guys. He's not out of the game. He's now going to play for the bad guys.
I guess possibly. I mean, Vic, I think some people look at this and think, oh, he got away with it, right? He didn't get punished, but if you're paying at all attention, he lost the kids. He lost Shane. He lost his fellow cops respect. When he gave up Gardakian, everybody knew it. And he lost his job. He lost the job he loved and got assigned to a desk job. I think you're right that he's only got one path left that would keep him alive. And he doesn't seem like the kind of guy that would take another path besides one that would keep him alive. But I'm curious what Amos took out of this, because he watched only these 4 episodes. Amos, where do you think he goes? And then give us your opinion on the entire experience.
I was confused on where he would go after that, especially seeing he had just looked out the window at, the police chase or whatever that was going on outside. But as Brian was talking, as soon as he said he only had one path, and that path was to go on the flip side, it just made so much sense. And I think that's exactly where it would lead to.
There was, keep in mind, I hadn't remembered that aspect, but I had that feeling this time because he takes a moment and he looks at his personal firearm that again, they made a thing of saying his personal, and then he kind of does this chuffing smirk where he's like, and it's like just in that moment that it seemed like he was wrestling with the gravity of his misdeeds. You could see a little bit of body posture of him blowing it off. And it's like, oh, well, then he hasn't changed at all, and he hasn't really learned anything.
And as much of a cop-out as that ending could be, it leaves it up to you to decide, okay, you've learned as much as you're ever going to learn about Vic Mackey. You decide. Yeah.
And Brian, I totally agree. The full 10 breaths of just the slow zoom in on him as he's sitting there. And you, as a viewer, initially, because I really don't care for a lot of those because I don't think they're played out very well. But on this one in particular, as the zoom in starts, I'm like, okay, well, we're gonna do this now. Oh no, he has a lot. This is a lot.
Yeah.
And the director and the actor had to be in sync on that for that message to convey properly, and I thought it was really.
Oh
really
yeah.
Well
speaking of which, I really noticed how good the ballet of, for example, when Wims confronts Mackey and throws him the pictures down, that physical room can only accommodate 3 humans, the Michael Chiklis, CCH Pounder, and the cameraman who does this do-si-do with them and makes sure to punch in on the exact lines. I mean, it's the camera person should be credited with as an actor in this. It's incredible.
Yeah, no doubt. They can be told what to do, but executing it's a whole other thing.
And the Shane storyline, I carried over from when we watched the Ultimate episode. I was kind of bored with, like, this just seems like it's just going to be just Shane trying to make something out of nothing or whatever. And then as I could feel his last straw when he was talking to the guy outside, outside the property, saying, hey, she's innocent. She's always been innocent and everything else. And he is just completely blown off. Like, that's not how it is. And the way he went back inside and, like, the way he looked around the apartment, and, like, you feel that something was definitely not going to sit well. And then when the police broke in and you heard the shot, and I was like, oh, I didn't have to be told what was in the other room. Like, I knew. And then they showed it, and it was just like, wow.
Well, and they also, knowing what was coming, they did an interesting thing of him at the bodega talking about, give me the pens. And it's like, you don't really notice. And it's like, get a fire truck and, why is he getting flowers? And, like, I mean, all of that just seems like so much noise, so much process to be doing while you're on the run. And, a little bit of a thoughtful gesture, but it gets recast all at once of, like, just how darkly premeditated all of this was.
And his conversation goes from, like, weird, creepy old man to, like, wistful, don't waste your life advice.
Yeah. And, but the hints start off very subtle, and some of them only make sense after you know where it was headed. But man, it just screamed at me. It was incredible.
Yeah. I almost feel like there's less to say about the finale because it is so good at summing it up, and all the things we've said about the Shield, positive and negative, I guess, are just executed with this episode.
I did like the fact that I was picturing being Amos watching this, and it's like, you get it. It's like, yeah, clearly you missed out on a lot here at the end credits. Here's some of the crazy things that happened.
Oh, yeah.
I hope you had the time of your life, whatever,
Yeah. I made the mistake of watching the previously on for this one. And there was so much on the previously on that I had not seen that predated the previous episode.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually added to the confusion. Like, what all did I miss? Like, how much, because, but when it comes down to it, it's a nice, tidy story that I would say you could probably watch the first, and the last 2 and have a decent story to it. And I mean, I'm sure you miss a lot of the drama and a lot of the emotion in between, but the main story is still there because it was, as you said, Tom, it was thought out from the beginning with an end in mind. And I thought it was great.
Yeah, I guess, being able to pop in and see the lowest episode was a benefit this time, because you get to punch in and see the story part way along and kind of see where these characters are. It doesn't tell you much about the story so much as it gives you a sense of things.
Of the rhythm and pacing of the game they were playing.
The only thing that stuck out in that
didn't have anything that really added to the narrative for me.
Yeah, you see Forrest Whitaker in the time of your life montage. We missed his character. That was the only thing in that montage where I'm like, oh yeah, we didn't get any information about that. You could look at that and be like, oh, Forrest Whitaker was in this. That would be what you missed from the full experience.
And Andre 3000, nice surprise.
He was in episode 4 or in 402. He was in Grave.
Was he? I didn't notice him then. I noticed him this time.
Yeah. Also, for the first time, I looked up where Corinne went. She went to Rockford, Illinois.
Ah.
So go get her, Vic.
Oh, I meant to write down. Do you know the address that she went to?
No.
The address on the house was 404.
Not found. Clever. I like it.
Oh, man, I guess that probably was intentional. I don't
Yeah,
know.
probably.
Yeah, nerd humor seems a bit outside of their purview, though. I don't know.
It's 2008, though. You never know.
It's, I mean, of all the numbers, that'd be one
Yeah, I
heck
guess
of a
by
coincidence.
then everybody had been on the web and knew what a 404 error was.
All right. Any other last thoughts about the Shield?
No,
experience?
we just have to pass judgment on whether or not this validates the full experience. This one, it's almost like it was hand-picked for it because three of the very top episodes are included in the full experience. And the last place one was pretty good.
Yeah, I think it worked. Amos, what about you?
I think this is my favorite full experience so far.
Really?
Awesome.
Very good. Very
Just because, like you said, Brian, it was handpicked for it. All the good stuff was right here, like all the best stuff, and then one to show this is what it normally would be and how it continued. You know how the show would go.
Well, and it's a good moment to remind everyone that the whole idea for the full experience is not to replace actually watching the show.
No.
It's to I pretty much have seen the West Wing. I speak West Wing. You know,
Yeah.
this is the like that Rosetta Stone course that you take before your spring break.
Totally. It's Cliff Notes in a way. It's like I want to get a sense of it, but I don't have time to watch the entire run. And I think it definitely worked once again.
Now I have a question for you two.
Mm.
We're heading into the holidays. Here in After Talk, we're going to start talking about schedules and such. What ideas do you have on how to make the full experience even better?
Oh, are you asking us, or are you asking the fine folks who are going to write us at cordkillers@gmail.com?
Exactly. Yep. I'm asking you so that your ideas can be filled by the lovely emails at cordkillers@gmail.com.
Yeah, let us know. We love getting ideas for shows to do in the full experience. That's fantastic, and keep that coming. But on top of that, your ideas for how to make the full experience even fuller, and not by adding an LER and making it more episodes, just making it better. Yeah. And like you say, Amos, we are headed into the holiday break, so we don't have a show lined up for the next full experience. The next full experience will happen in January. Keep an eye on the Patreon. We will announce it there once we know what we're going to do. But thank you for supporting us. Thank you for letting us evolve this show. And we look forward to the next full experience with you. Patreon.com/Cordkillers. We'll talk to you later.